This month, I've done so much progress on the demo of Portobello's, and I wanted to switch up the format of my video because I had so many subjects I wanted to cover. So in this first ever dev diary, I will be talking about tutorialization, facial rigs, camera facing on a moving platform, and FMOD also, and I'll be showing off our new main menu background and adding a little note to the Lyra Possession challenge. I've added some tutorial notifications, so as you can see at the left side, I have some UI little capsules. When I use the inputs, it shows the progress of me pretty much learning that input. And then if I do it enough times, then it will clear it. I'm finding this is useful to onboard the player to play the game, what inputs to press. So I have some with duration, and once I have pressed that input long enough, it will clear it. And just for example, I have a reset camera. So if I press the left button shoulder, it will trigger it. And then I do it again, it triggers it again. And I was inspired by Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip, which is actually a really awesome game. And they gave them very bite-sized, and it helped me learn the controls really fast without having some big tutorial window that I'm personally not a fan of. When there's a big window and a little video of like if you jump and then you see the player jump and then you have to press a button. It's not really learning by doing, it's more you have to read this. I wanted to implement that in Portobello's. And what's nice about that is that it's pretty modular. I was very inspired by the elimination feed for Lyra, which is already set up. So in this case, I just picked up a new ability. And again, instead of having a pop-up and explains exactly what to do, I just have this little nice UI that shows up and shows me what key to press. It should also work, there you go, it should work with keyboard, it updates. Basically, it's just a UI. I send it a gameplay message. I say, okay, there's this much duration. If there's a duration, it'll just be one of those radial menu with a progress bar. And if it's a count, like in this case, I only have 3. So I have to spin 3 times and then it will clear and go away. And so, yeah, I feel like it's a nice bite-sized way to show the player what inputs to use in the game. And I might even implement something like, I haven't played this game in months, what are the controls? Instead of having to look at a control screen, which as a player, I really don't, unless it's been so long, and I think this will be really, really nice. It took me some time to debug and dig into an issue that I had with this list. Sometimes when I picked up a new ability, the widget would show up for a frame and then disappear, or sometimes it had some weird data. It was like half done. Yeah, so that took me a little bit to figure out. So one thing I learned while doing this system is a particular thing about list view is that the widgets that are spawned from entries, they're all pooled. So if you add, let's say 5 entries, it will create 5 widgets, and those will still exist even if you clear them. And then when you add another entry, it will just use the widget that already existed. And it's not calling anything to reinitialize, let's say, variables that you created. So in my case, I pretty much had some widgets that had a state of, okay, I'm completed, and the player pressed 3 times and we only need 3 times. Or the duration is this and the elapsed time is that. So essentially, to fix this, you just have to make sure to reinitialize all your variables whenever you create an entry. So this kind of taught me to not assume and to look at the code, because I had zero idea that the widgets were in a pool and reused. So yeah, that's one case of it's awesome to be able to look at the code and truly understand how it's set up and how it works. For a long time, I was trying to figure out how to animate Irma's face in Engine. So we have these morph targets, or essentially they're blend shapes that my wonderful artist made in Maya. And we have a control rig to animate in Engine for the bones, but I wasn't sure how to do it for the morph target shapes. So for example, I have hold breath, lips open, close. I don't know, hold breath. Going negative, we probably need to tweak a little bit. And I have a few other ones. The eyes, the eyebrows. Woo! So we can have her be very expressive, but because of our workflow, we were animating in editor and it wasn't clear how to do this. Thanks to the Unreal community, I found out a way to add controls that drive these values. So first of all, I will share these links in the description. But essentially what helped me is this video right here. It helped me figure out that we could essentially drive morph shape curves with bone transforms, which made me think, okay, well, maybe I can just create controls and drive the morph shapes directly. It ended up working out. I added some curves to, I think it's the head bone, and oh, I'll just make that bigger. Okay, yeah, so I parented it to the head control. So this is a control rig, maybe the equivalent to a Maya rig, even though I'm sure Maya rigs are even more complex. And I'm also not a rigger or a technical animator, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, essentially these are my first facial rig shapes, and I use just basic shapes. Yeah, so I set up some constraints so that it's easy to animate. And yeah, all these shapes, they drive these morph shapes. And I had trouble deciding for the mouth because one of them is the mouth and one of them is the lips. Or kind of, I guess it's the jaw. There you go. But essentially now these controls can be animated in a sequence. And so animation sequence can now contain facial animation data. And even her hair has some morph shapes. So it will add a lot of character to her, like let's say her running, maybe a secondary animation. So essentially I just made all these curves, and then the most important part is that each control has limits, which makes it easier to control or animate with. So in this case, this eye, I have a minimum. I just made sure to lock everything in so we can't rotate it, we can't translate it, and the only thing that matters is the scale of the y-axis. So that part was very, very time consuming, and choosing a shape. Also, you can have your own custom shapes, but I'm sure you can find that in other tutorials. Essentially all I did, and I didn't comment anything yet, but in my forward solve, I added basically this node here, and I set the curve value of this morph shape. So this curve exists on my skeleton and it represents the morph shape, and I either had to remap, so from getting the control transform to the morph value, which goes from -1 to 1. In this case, hold breath, I didn't want the -1 because it looked funny. That's pretty much what I did for all of them. And I think the only fancy one is this one, the eye open and closed, because she already kind of starts with her eyes slightly closed. And I just wanted to make sure that it represents her initial value. So yeah, this took me a while to figure out. It's nice now to know that we can animate her facial expressions in animation sequences. And now that I have the facial rig, I'll just press G. So I've just opened up an animation sequence in its sequencer, or the linked one. So G, I'm just gonna hide and unhide the controls. Yeah, she is very excited about rolling. Maybe I could make it so that she looks like she's putting more effort in. So I'll press G again. So maybe let's say that at this point, I would probably have to key it before, but now she can be determined and maybe less smiling. I think we'll need more controls over her mouth and expressions. This is awesome for now. So let's just say her mouth is closed because she's determined. I didn't have auto key on, so that'll be interesting. She looks so mad. But now if I save, I'm not sure if because I didn't key it. Okay, so now if I open her roll animation and see if her face followed. So yeah, now her animation data, oh, it's unlit, that's what happened. Okay, so now we can actually animate expressions with every animation. I'm still unsure how it'll all blend together. Let's say if we have 4 different animations going on with different animation slots. So there's still a lot to learn, but it's pretty awesome to be able to animate her face. Another part of the demo that was making me honestly a little queasy was that whenever standing on a moving platform, the camera used to follow the orientation of the pawn. The control camera automatically rotates towards whatever the player is on, and it makes it really hard to line up just jumps. It also feels really wrong that I'm not in control of my camera. So fixing this, it made all of these sections way better, and it's just better that the player is in control of its camera. And when the camera moves without your control, it can really make you feel queasy. So my problem happened here in this function here. So essentially, if you're on something that rotates, it would update the camera rotation to be facing the same way as the pawn. In my case, I want the pawn to face the direction of the thing it's on, but I wanted to maintain that camera rotation so we're not making the player sick. In my code, all I did is I added another variable, and I just called it control rotation follows base rotation. So it's really long. I could probably rename that. But essentially, if this is true, I just make sure to not update or not add that rotation to our control rotation, which is pretty much where our camera is facing, or in my case. In my game, I chose that the pawn rotation should be independent from the camera rotation. So yeah, if in your game you have the same sort of setup, I feel like this helped a lot of my queasiness go away, and it's more enjoyable when I'm in control of the camera. Another improvement I made to our game is I've integrated FMOD. And I'm still very new to FMOD, so I've only added it for picking up the jelly beans, some water sounds, the music you hear and the other sounds you hear. They're still not part of FMOD, but it was nice to learn that FMOD can coexist with Unreal audio. I had no idea about that. But yeah, oh, it feels so much better with sounds. And all these sounds, they are either from asset packs in the marketplace or fab, and also from the website We Love Indies. And my favorite sound is this ambient waterfall. It's so very soothing, and it was incredibly easy to add 3D sounds or ambient sounds or 2D sounds to the game using FMOD. Adding a 3D ambient sound was just as easy as dragging this actor and then setting the FMOD event. So in my case, it was a small waterfall event, and from the engine is awesome. Like, we just play these events and then the FMOD handles what that event does. As for playing a 2D sound, it was as easy as just calling a node, so play event 2D, and then I gave it this FMOD event. It was a similar process for my new main menu background. I just had to drag in an ambient FMOD sound and call it something like main menu, and then I added the ambiance, and I also added the song. I'm still very new to FMOD, but it was just interesting how it could improve my organization. I've got FMOD, I've got all the events, so this is all I've done so far. I haven't dived that much in. I just figure that baby steps is better than anything. And you can see if I play this one, you can hear it. So it's been great. I've had FMOD open, I modify the event, and then I generate a sound bank, and it updates right away, and then I can play the difference. This one was like a random, or choose randomly between a few sounds, and it was all very seamless. What I still need to do and learn is how to connect FMOD audio to these sliders here. I think someone in the Lyra.net Discord channel has figured it out, so I'll dig into that. And for anyone using Lyra, I've also been working at the problem of possession. So if I look to this is just a test project I've made based on Lyra, and it just alternates between possessing the other pawn or this pawn here. And so far I've fixed that the inputs, they work in between, and the health persists in between possessing. This pawn it owns its own ability system. But yeah, this has been a continuous problem I've been looking at, because in my game I do possess things, or technically other pawns, and I've had some issues because it's out of the box. It's not handled. But yeah, as soon as I have this all figured out, I cannot wait to share. And so people can also possess other things in Lyra. Another update I'm really happy about for this month is we updated our main menu to have the nice vibe, the nice chill vibe of the game. And Irma's just relaxing by the beach. And I still have a lot of work to do on the buttons. I am not a UI UX designer, and it'll be interesting to learn more about UI materials as I do this. But yeah, it's been a wonderful month of progress working on this demo, and I can't wait to have people test it. And this has been my first true dev diary, even though I've been calling myself Nan's Dev Diaries all this time. I'm curious to know what you want to know more about and if this format works, because I've learned so many things this month that could be tutorials, but as time goes on, I feel like I have less and less time to prepare tutorials, so I'd be happy to hear if this sort of format and what I learned is useful to you. And as always, thank you for watching, and thank you so much, Patreons, and see you in the next one.